Hi guys, I want to do a video about propagating succulents from leaves, and I thought I would show you a few of the ones I have going right now in my trays in the greenhouse. And what I want to do is walk you through step by step on what I do, and hopefully you guys can get good at doing it as well. It's not very hard. The main thing is just paying attention to them and a couple other things, and we'll go over those, but let's go ahead and start from the beginning, and we're going to talk about how to do this. And just by the way, you're not going to see me much in this video because I want to show you firsthand what I do, so I'm going to be trying to do a lot of things one-handed. Also, this is the video where I am the closest to 100 subscribers that I've ever been at. I'm at 98 subscribers right now, and I'm going to do a giveaway for anyone who subscribes to this channel and comments on this video. So if you comment on this video and I see that you're also a subscriber, then you're going to be eligible for the giveaway. And at the end of the video, I will tell you what I'm giving away. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so the first thing you need to do if you're going to propagate from a leaf is to get some good leaves that have a clean break off of the mother plant. So these are a good example of ones that have a clean break. Now, yes, there are already some roots growing out of that one, but if you look at these, you can tell that they were cleanly broken right off of the stem. And that's important because if you don't do that, you won't have the plant's DNA in order to make a new plant. And it doesn't matter necessarily the size of the plant as far as if the leaves are very small or if they're larger. But the main thing is a clean break. And also you want the leaves to be plump enough to still have some water, because that's what's going to sustain the new plant growth and the roots until you are able to start giving it water when the leaf dries out. Some of the things that will not work are dried leaves or leaves that you pull off of the bottom of your succulent when they're dry, and that's totally normal for that to happen. And even though this is a clean break and the end of it is a little fat, there's probably not enough energy in that one to make a new one. You could try, but I haven't had any success with it, so I wouldn't recommend it. And the last thing is, you don't want any leaves that don't have clean breaks. So if you try to pull one off and something like this happens, they're just not going to work. They don't have part of the meristem on there, and they're not going to make a plant, they're not going to make roots, and they're just going to dry up. So you don't want any of these. Now, in just a minute, I'm going to show you the best way to pull one off of a plant, but the main thing is you just kind of wiggle it off really carefully from the stem so you can get a clean break like one of these. So let's try to do that, and I'm going to cut to the next scene. Okay guys, this is kind of crazy, but this is a really etiolated plant that I got from a nursery. It's a Graptopetalum superbum, and if you look, there are just tons of heads. They're hiding all over the place, like under here, over here, and it is extremely etiolated. And so I'm going to just demonstrate pulling off a leaf on this one, because my plan is to chop this one into lots of pieces and make lots of plants from it. So let's just take a leaf right here, for example. So sometimes I'll hold the stem, but if you just take it right here, basically you need a part of the stem. Now some people choose to wiggle it side to side. Some people choose to twist. If you just wiggle it a little bit, there we go. That's a perfect break. And so this is the kind of leaf you need for propagation. So I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to propagate this, and this is actually going to make another plant later. So perfect. And sorry, that's not focusing, you guys. I'll probably make another video of what I'm going to do to this guy later, but I wanted to show you this so you can see what a good clean break is and how to do it. So wiggling or twisting. Step 3 in propagation is literally setting your leaves in some sort of container and then putting them away somewhere out of direct sunlight and leaving them alone, period. No dirt, no misting, no messing with them, no sticking them into the dirt on the ends, no nothing. When I first started propagating, I did all sorts of things. I made trays full of dirt and I used different types of soils. I would stick the ends into dirt. I would mist them every day. I would check on them every day, wondering if they were doing okay. I tried water propagation, but I haven't really done that much, and I can't say that it doesn't work because I know it does. I just don't do it because it's not for me. I may do it in the future, and if I do, I'll make a video on it. But so far, this has been the best way for me. Literally just putting leaves in some sort of container. This is just a plastic container that I found somewhere, and I'm setting them in there, and I'm going to leave them alone. I'm going to put them somewhere, not complete darkness, but somewhere where the sun isn't going to beam on them all day. If you just leave them alone, they have enough nutrients in them to make roots and plants. And what I've found is that if you stick them into the dirt, they'll make roots, but they won't make the plants. And if you keep them right side up, like the way I have them right now, they seem to do better. I don't know why, but this is just what I've found. I know some people still insist that you put them in the dirt. Some people insist that you put them on rocks. But I have literally thrown leaves into a cardboard box lid and forgot about them. And I've also dropped them around the greenhouse on the concrete, and they make roots and babies just fine. So they don't need anything. So don't try so hard, and they will happen just fine. Main thing is if you have a clean break and a good leaf, you are going to get results. Every now and then you will get a leaf that makes roots and it doesn't make a baby, or it makes a baby but it never ever makes roots. And I'm going to tell you what to do in each of those instances, but basically, if it makes a baby and never makes roots, stick it into the ground and start watering it and hope it makes roots. If it makes roots and never makes a baby, just leave it alone, and if it dries up, then it's done for. So this is the next step in our propagation, is laying these in some sort of container. They could be in a cardboard box lid. It does not matter. And no, you do not need any kind of soil whatsoever. Just put them somewhere, anywhere where they're not going to freeze and where they're not going to be in direct sunlight all day. I put them on my shelf in my greenhouse because they get a little bit of light, but not much because of the shelves above them. But I've also done it in the house in my dining room where they don't get much light at all, just the light from the house, and it still works the same. I'm going to try to embed a picture of what I used to do. I used to be very organized, and I would lay them all out, and I would put them in perfect order, lay them all out, and I was so OCD about it. And guess what? It works the same if you do it this way and just throw them down versus if you lay them all out. So save yourself the time and the energy and just do it this way. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, next step. You've been checking your succulents every day, and you are starting to notice that some of them are making babies. So, obviously these aren't the leaves that I had in there before, but I wanted to show you what the next step was. And this could take anywhere from a week to 4 to 6 weeks, and it really just depends on the type of plant and the conditions and all of that. So typically when you look at a leaf, you will see that the plant and the roots will form at the very tip, but there are a few plants where the leaves form on the outside, like this one. This is a type of kalanchoe. So just to tell you guys that a clean break in this case is not always necessary, but in general, a clean break is always better than a not clean break. But you're going to have some that have roots and a small plant. You may have some that look dried up and just have roots. You may have some that have a plant but no roots. Like, well, this one, for example, it actually does have a root or two, but there are plenty of instances, and I'm sorry I'm wearing gloves, but I deal with plants all the time, so I like to keep things pretty sterile. Okay, this one does have a few roots, but there are many times where you will get a plant and no roots. Now, if that happens and the leaf is still pretty thick, leave it alone. It'll eventually make roots. If it never does happen and the leaf is almost completely dried up, like say like this, say it looks like this and you have a plant but no roots. In that case, you'd go ahead and go to the next step, which is what I'm going to show you in a minute, where you remove the plant from the leaf and put it into soil. Now, these guys, it's kind of hard to tell, but normally you can just kind of grab them and just pull them off. Okay, so I just pulled that one off, and it's got a few roots. Let's look at this one. This is that Kalanchoe. It starts with an F, and I can never pronounce it. FED something. But if you look at this guy, okay, these have roots. Now, I could be pulling this off a little early, but I'm going to risk it because I have a bunch. Okay, it's hard to tell on here, but in real life, it does have a few roots. Sometimes I just kind of brush them off, because think about it, in nature they're just falling off of things and trying to survive. So this is done for. There are some instances where if your leaf is still very fat and you remove the plant and the roots from the leaf, it will make another baby. And you see this one just lost a leaf. That's okay, but this is our next step. So anything that has dried out and does not have a plant by this time, or yeah, pretty much just a plant by this time. If it's got roots and no plant, then it's done for. If it's got a plant and no roots, it might make it. Otherwise, going in the trash. Some of them might just have roots, and if they're still pretty fat, they might make it. This one's looking very thin, so my idea as far as this one, I don't think this one's going to make it. I can ignore it and leave it alone, and that's not going to hurt anything. Now this one's made roots, completely dried up, it's done for. Oh, thought I threw it out. And you will hear many people talk about the giant echeverias, the Gibiflora hybrids, and how they can never make babies with their leaves. And while I have found that typically that is true, I know that I have had it happen a few times in my experience, so I still go ahead and save the leaves when they're good. But this was from a Gibiflora hybrid. It's almost completely dried up now, and all it has is roots, and at this point it doesn't have time to make a baby anymore, so it's going in the trash. So now you've got these guys. So we've got roots growing, we've got babies growing, and if the leaf is still fat, leave it alone. This baby is growing off of its mama. Now these guys, we just separated them from the mother leaf, so they have nothing now. They have the plant, they have a little bit of roots. They have to be planted, and they need to start getting water or they will die. So these guys are going to be planted next. Now when these guys, when their mother leaf dries up, we're going to talk about planting them either with the mother leaf dried up or completely separated, and I'll show you how to do both. So let's go ahead and move on to the next step. Next step, you guys. So you've been checking your succulents over and over and over again, and you finally found that some of them have the mother leaves completely dried up, like these guys. Now some of these guys have some roots, some of them don't have many, and you might have some that don't have roots at all. Now these ones over here are the ones we pulled off of that kalanchoe, and I also put this one in here because it's got a good plant and it's got good roots. So I'm going to show you what to do if you're just in a hurry and you just want to go ahead and plant it anyway. And then finally, I wanted to show you this. I left this leaf in a pot. It fell off of a plant actually, and it was in the shade. When they don't have any light at all, they get very elongated like this, which is fine because they will still make plants, but you'll eventually have to cut them off and propagate them from cuttings, which is fine, or you can bury them all the way up to the top and they'll also make roots. But I wanted to show you a couple different scenarios. So with these ones, we're going to go ahead and plant them. They have leaves and they have roots. I'm going to show you what to do with this one. And these guys over here with the dried leaves, I'm going to show you what to do with these guys. Roots or not, there's something that you can do to make sure that they grow, and I will show you that as soon as I set up my tripod, and then I'll show you what to do in this case as well. Okay everyone, next step. In the case of these guys that I pulled off the kalanchoe, we know they have a plant and we know they have some roots, so they are okay to go ahead and plant in soil, and you can plant them in wet or dry soil, and I prefer to use wet soil because that will go ahead and start giving the roots water that they need. Now some things you can't put directly in wet soil because it's going to cause rot, but these guys came right off of a dry leaf, so they're okay. There's no open wounds. Now let's take this guy for example. This leaf is not completely dried out yet, and I want to plant it. I'd like to put it in its own container. I have found that if you put these guys in their own container, they will do much better. Now some people choose to rip the leaf completely off and hope that the roots stay on, and you are free to do that, but what I like to do is hold on to a little bit of the mother leaf, rip most of the mother leaf off, and leave a little bit left. Now this means I can't plant it in wet soil because there's an open wound, but it also means I'm not going to rip the roots off. So what I'm going to do is either plant this in dry soil, or I'm going to plant this into, well, I'll plant it in wet soil, but I'll have to wait a few days. So this one's going to do just fine. I just can't plant this directly into wet soil yet. That is going to be the case for this one as well, because for you guys who are really impatient, look how fat this leaf is. If I just left this thing alone, the plant would actually grow much faster, and I know that you guys are impatient, so you don't want to wait, but if you let the mother leaf do its thing, it will grow faster. But if you just can't stand it, get a knife, put rubbing alcohol on it, or if you have sterilized hands, go ahead and do the same thing that I just did before. Rip mother leaf off, leave a little bit left, so you've got roots, plant, and you still have a little bit of mother leaf. But you can't plant that into wet soil. You can plant it into dry soil, but not water for a few days, or wait a few days and then plant it into wet soil. So same thing with this one. Now let's talk about these guys. So this one is a completely dried out mother leaf, and no, well actually there are two small roots. It's almost hard to see in the video, but what I like to do in this case, I'm too scared to take the complete dry mother leaf off, So I do the same thing as what I do before. I rip it right at the edge. And if you're even nervous about that, you really don't even have to do that. You could plant the entire thing into wet soil, put the mother leaf under the soil, and it would be fine. So this one's good to go. It's got a root, it's got a plant, good to go. This one, same thing. The main reason why you would take the big leaf off is because I like to plant them in those little seed starting trays. And if you do that and you try to get it down flat, it's not gonna be right side up. So if you want it to be right side up, you can just break mama leaf off and then plant it in there, and you're gonna have a much better looking upright baby like this. So it's your choice. This is a really good one. I actually think this is a Pearl von Nuremberg, and Pearl von Nurembergs propagate extremely well. Mother leaf is completely dried out. In fact, she's cracking off now. So I'm just gonna pull the excess off right here, and I will put this here in the tray to plant. But there are roots. Can you see them? I'm not sure. Yes, okay. There they are. But she's looking really good and she's huge. Same thing with this one. You might find that you get some that make doubles, and I've found also with propagating from leaves, you get lots of doubles and you also get lots of cresteds. And if you love cresteds, then you need to start propagating from leaves. So I'm ripping mother leaf off again. This one hardly has any roots, but at the same time I'm going to go ahead and plant it. I'm going to plant the dry ones in dry soil. And if you're not sure if the leaf is completely dry, just wait. They're going to be okay. I think this is another Pearl von Nuremberg, maybe didn't get as big. And I can tell that the leaf is not completely dry. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but just to be on the safe side, I will rip the leaf off, but I'm not gonna plant this in wet soil because it will rot. Actually, okay, this is a perfect example of something that just happened. Okay, the mother leaf completely just came off on her own, and so now I have simply the plant and the roots. So if this ever happens where the mother leaf just comes off on its own and all you have left is the plant and its roots, then you can go ahead and plant it in wet soil. That just happened on this video and I didn't plan on that. So let's go ahead and go to the next part of the video where we talk about planting in soil. Okay guys, obviously not all of us have access to the same types of soil. However, I think that cocoa coir or the husks of coconut fibers seem to work really well with our propagation plants. And I just happened to buy this 3-pack of bricks at Petco. But you can buy them on Amazon and wherever. And you don't even really have to use this. You could use the regular Miracle Grow cactus and succulent soil, or you could make your own mix. The main thing is you need to keep it pretty moist. And I know that sounds scary for succulents, but for babies, they need a lot of moisture. So I'm not as worried about them getting rot as other guys. Now, you probably see that even though this is a 3-pack, there's one missing. But the way this looks, I just bought this today. I've bought these a million times, but if you unwrap it, there is a brick and you may need to pull some paper off. But what I do is I take the paper off and I put the brick into a container. And you just start adding water. Now, I use rainwater. I like rainwater. I also like using water from my turtle tank. And aquarium water works great as well because it's got a lot of nutrients in it, nitrates. But I'm going to show you in just a second what it looks like to have this in a container of aquarium water. It's very compressed and it will really expand once you add water. Now, do you have to use this? No. You could use the regular old Miracle-Gro cactus and succulent soil. And I also have a thing here. This is my bin, and sorry for the mess, but this is my bin that has perlite, cactus soil, and a little bit of coconut coir in it. You could use that too. The main thing is if you use this, you're gonna need to water it every day because it's gonna dry out really fast. And the reason I like this stuff is because it stays more moist. So I'm going to show you what it looks like in just a second after I put a brick into a little Tupperware container and pour some rainwater into it, and I'll show you what it looks like. So now we're looking at a Tupperware container which had a brick in it, and I added some rainwater, and now it's extremely expanded. And if you look at it, I can just grab it, just crumble it like this. This is what we want. Now, this is very moist. If it doesn't crumble completely off, it may not be completely dry or completely moist yet, like this part. But if it crumbles completely off, this is what we want. So I've got another container right here, and this is just a little 6-pack planter that I had laying around. So what I'm gonna do for this part is just grab the parts that I know are very moist and put them in there. Now I love to use those 72 cell planters that you get from Walmart or wherever, but you can use anything you want. You can use a teacup, whatever. Main thing is it is still good to have drainage, but I found that it's not really that important at this point in time. So I do pack it down only because I know it's going to hold more moisture. Normally you don't really like the soil completely packed. Just putting it in this Tupperware container because I know that I don't want to waste any of this. But now I've got enough coconut coir, not quite, a little bit more in this one. Now I know I have enough coconut coir in each cell for one plant. I think plants do the best when they have their own area. That seems to be the case with what I've found, but I'm not really sure about everyone else's experiences. So if you know something different, let me know. So kind of pack this down in here. So this is the coconut coir. I'm gonna get it pretty flat. I'm gonna add a little bit more to this one. And now we're gonna cut to the next scene, and we're gonna put some of our guys in this container. All right, so here is our final scene. I want to show you what I'm gonna do with these guys. So let's take our tall guy first. So remember he had, well, no, actually we can't do this. Remember this had the leaf that was wet and we tore that off, so we can't plant this. So let's plant one of these kalanchoes. So I'm gonna take one of these kalanchoes right here. I'm gonna make a little indentation here. You really don't have to make much. I just kind of place it on the dirt and push the dirt around it like this. And I'll do a close-up in a minute, but that's what I do. That's literally it. Now let's take this guy who fell off of the mama. That was, I believe, a Pearl von Nuremberg. I'm not really sure what happened. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna make a little indentation right here, stick it in there, and I'm just gonna lay it there. If there were any roots exposed that seem to come upwards, I'd probably take a little pinch of this stuff and put it on top of the root, but there aren't any. And now I'm gonna take this one. This was another one where the mama leaf was completely dried out, and this was the one where there were two tiny little roots. You can see them. So I'm gonna take them and I'm gonna stick it in there, and I'm also gonna bury mama leaf. I'm gonna nudge all the coco coir right around it, because when I do water this, I wanna make sure it gets to the root. So if I just laid it down there, the water might not get to it. And I will plant these other kalanchoes, so don't worry about them dying. Here is the Pearl von Nuremberg that had the completely dried out leaf. It's a big one. And I'm gonna go ahead and put that one in here too. That one's okay to plant because the leaf was dry. So I stick it in there. Really all I'm gonna do is just push the coco coir around it and cover up mama leaf. She looks good now. Here is another one that had a dried leaf. These roots almost look dead, but if you're not sure, or even if they look dead, go ahead and try. Because these are the ones where, let's say you have a plant and it looks almost dead, or it made a plant and it didn't make roots. This is where you can go ahead and plant it anyway. If mama leaf is not wet, it can be planted. All right, here's our little double that we had. I'm gonna go ahead and plant that one too. Just gonna kind of nuzzle it in there and then put a little bit of the coir around it. And what I'm gonna do is look at this every day. I'm not gonna put it in direct sunlight, I'll tell you that. But I'm not gonna put it in the shade either, or not completely. It needs some sun, but not a lot. Just like what you were doing before with your propagations. Not complete darkness, but not full sunlight. They will burn to a crisp immediately. So here's what we've got. We've got 6 very nicely planted propagations. The main thing is I need to keep this coconut coir moist. And if you're not using that, that's fine. Every single day though, you need to use a mister and mist it extremely well so it gets watered. If it goes a full day in some sunlight without water, it's gonna die. So take a look at these. They look great. They're gonna make it. I can show you an update video later on. But what I like to do, like I told you before, was use the 72 count trays for my propagations. What I'm actually doing right now, which I don't always tell people to do, is I'm sticking a few more of these kalanchoes in one container, but as long as they're not too crowded, they're fine. The bigger ones, the echeverias, they seem to need their own space a little bit more. And these other guys, well, these 4 are echeverias. This, I believe, is a setiveria, and then this is kalanchoe. So the final thing I'm going to show you guys is what I have going on right now, and then I'm going to show you what I'm doing for my giveaway, because I've got 98 subscribers. I love you guys. I can't believe there's so many people who love succulents as much as me, and I'm so happy that you're all part of my channel, and I want to do something to give back to you guys. So let's go to the next scene. Ladies and gentlemen, if you follow the guidelines that I set up in the previous videos, this is what you're going to end up with. Now these are my 72 count trays that have single cells, but you can see these are all guys that came from leaves. And now this one I planted with a regular leaf, so I don't always break it off, you guys, but many of them I do. I don't really like mama leaf on there, but look at these guys, they're so beautiful. I've got superbums, got sedivarias. I think I have, oh, there is a kalanchoe right there. Oh, there's another one right there. There's a beautiful Pearl von Nuremberg that is bigger than all the rest. I've got a frilly somewhere. Let me see if I can find that baby. Oh, let's see. I'll find it. Anyway, you will have so many new succulents, you will not know what to do with them all, and they will grow fast. And one little tip that I will talk about more in future videos: if you water them with regular water or rainwater, they do great. However, if you water them with aquarium water, or in my case, I use the water from my turtle tank, which is essentially aquarium water, they seem to grow 1,000,000 times faster. So I wanted to show this to you guys because you can do this. It's very easy. It's not hard. You'll get crested ones, you'll get tall ones, you'll get short ones, you'll get tons of Echeverias. Before you know it, you will have so many succulents, you will be giving them away. So this is what you can do. It can happen. It's not hard. I didn't know anything other than what I watched from YouTube, and I can now do this. So I know you guys can too. Let's go ahead and talk about the giveaway now. So one last look. Let me see if I can find that frilly. I know it's in here somewhere. Now there, that may be an afterglow. What is that frilly one? Oh, here it is. I don't know what it is yet, but if you guys can ID it, let me know. All right, let's go ahead and go to the giveaway. All right, guys, so my propagation video is over, but I wanted to show you something. These are the Echeveria rainbows and Monroes that I got from my last shipment. So for those of you who follow me, you know that I import succulents from other countries, and I have some of these, and I do sell these on my Etsy, so if you're interested, you can check that out. But since I'm starting to get a lot of subscribers and I'm about to be at 100, I wanted to do a giveaway. So for anyone who comments on this video and who is a subscriber, you guys are eligible for the giveaway. I'm gonna pick someone at random. I'll probably use a random name generator or something, but anyone who subscribes and has a comment on this particular video will be entered, and then you can tell me if you want a rainbow or an orange Monroe, and I'll get your information and I'll send you one. So that is the contest for my 100 subscriber giveaway, and thank you so much for supporting me and checking out my channel. I'm so glad that there are other people who love succulents as much as I do, and I'm going to continue to make more videos on instructionals as well as what I'm doing personally in the greenhouse. So please stay updated, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell notification icon. Have a good day, you guys. Bye-bye.